Welcome back, everybody. Customer experience has long been a top priority for executives in most industries, whether they work in sales, service, marketing, or e-commerce. Until recently, however, the CIO was not expected to play a significant role in resolving it. However, in the age of the connected client, that is rapidly changing. To put it differently, technology now plays a role at every stage of the customer journey, and every firm must now include its CIO in customer experience projects. With that, we move on to the Fireside Chat title, How CIOs Are Shaping Customer Experience. And first up, I'd like to welcome the esteemed members of this Fireside Chat, Rajiv Arora, Global Head of Information Technology, Global Hub at Siemens, and Kaushik Bhaduri, Chief Technology Evangelist, ProcessIT Global. This session will be moderated by Prateek Sinha, Partner Experience Consulting, PwC India. Prateek, the virtual floor is all yours.
Thank you, Ivan. Hello, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to this Fireside Chat. My attempt here will be to not just spark some good conversation, but for you to take away practical tips that you can put to play, especially if you're the CIO, or if you're not the CIO, to figure out how to have the CIO deliver experiences that are exceptional. Because you all know, and I may be preaching to the choir, so I'm going to make it very snappy. You've seen if you can bring up the presentation, please. Experiences, great experiences really deliver tangible business value. So Akash, if you can, as the slides come up, you'll see that based on research, we've seen that 84% of the customers or consumers said that experience that a company provides is as important as its products and services. Even more importantly, 66% of consumers said that they would be willing to pay more for an exceptional experience. And not just that, we also know that there is a difference between when you deliver exceptional experiences versus just a very good one. Just taking a quick pause to see if the slides are up. If not, you can bring them up, please, now. Thank you very much. Now they're there. And you can go to the next slide, please. When consumers have an exceptional experience versus just a very good one, they're at least 2 times more likely to recommend that experience and that brand to others. And you can see the numbers. The numbers are very impressive. The question that we have here on the Fireside Chat is, what role do the CIOs have in making this happen? So Rajiv, let's begin with you. Can you please share an experience that stood out as exceptional for you, and maybe what role did you have in it?
Thanks, Prateek. And once again, good afternoon to all of you. It's a great session to share. So if you look at customer experience, so what is customer experience? Is your customer perception of your business, the brand, or the service, or a product. It's based on every interaction or a touch point throughout the customer journey, starting from navigating on the website to receiving a product or a service. Every single process, a touch point, or interaction impacts your customer perceptions and their decision making. A good customer experience has a direct impact on your satisfaction, loyalty, and even repurchase business. I really go back to our Steve Jobs, who normally say that you got to start with customer experience and work backwards. So let me take an example of a switchboard repair. How can we leverage AR/VR technology using an Android phone? The application, what it is, it really guides a technician at a customer location step by step to check the defect and issues in a switchboard, leveraging his simple Android phone, what he would have in his hands. The technician can open a control panel without having any knowledge how to open using an AR/VR technology and identify a defect. On identify defect, he can also capture a picture of a QR code or a defect, a product, and put it on the marketplace for placing an order for a OEM manufacturer to send him that product. And this application is in multilingual language. So what does it app does? It really helps you perform operation and maintenance, contact services, the warranties, and log in the services and warranty calls. And what did this application do for a technician who could be in a remote location like a Siliguri or to a remote location like Nasik? What will have a fast turnaround time for operation and maintenance, leading to high availability of a particular switchboard or a product, what we have it out. Improve the OEM interactions. And what does the OEM gets as a manufacturer? He really gets to reduce the warranty costs. Also potentially forecast the spare parts which he need to put in inventory. So if you look at the customer journey, how that service technician who's at a customer location can really transform the experience for a customer who could be sitting in one of the powerhouses across the country or globe. So what was our role? Our role was very critical to understand the customer journey. How does in a day of a life of a technician drives? What kind of interaction or challenges he or she has? What kind of expectation he has, which can make him more productive and effective? And more important, what kind of a technology with purpose we can bring on the table as a CIO to evaluate that what can be practically possible at economical cost to him, which can really fit for his solutions. And then a simple advice, conduct a POC in a small way. Don't scale it. Conduct a POC in a small way before you start scaling it out. And now that particular product, which I talked about as an example, has become a global for all relevant products. And this has really enhanced the customer experience. Just see how the role of a CIO is transform the experience of a small end customer service technician in a customer location to fix a particular switchboard, what he would have asked a OEM or a expert to come and help you fix it out. So that's the example I want to take.
Yeah, Rajiv, thanks so much for sharing that and also highlighting the fact that, you know, everyone, this is not a story from Savannah or Nashville. This is from Siliguri and Nasik. You know, it's all happening here. That's such a great example of the different facets and the benefits that customer experience drives and how a CIO, as a CIO team, Rajiv, you've driven it. Kaushik, what's your perspective on this, please?
Firstly, thank you, Prateek, for having me over, and good afternoon, everybody who are present on this chat. Prateek, of course, Rajiv illustrated the point brilliantly with an excellent example. But, you know, being a part of a much smaller organization, our vantage might be a little bit different from what his experience is. For example, you know, we don't have a dedicated customer experience team yet, or we cannot even undertake consistently things like service design or customer journey mapping or touchpoint design, etc. But we deliver big on customer expectations. So we have to essentially rely upon bringing together the agility and the nimbleness of a small engineering team, along with a strategic decision-making capability of our sort of considerably experienced management. Now, just a case in point, a few months ago, we were neck deep in integrating an identity and access management solution for a very large government PSU. It was a marquee project for us, for a company of our scale, with the deployments happening between maybe 500 plus servers and affecting literally tens of thousands of users. So, but while building the solution, Prateek, we realized that even if we did everything correctly and implemented everything, the intricate workflows of those multi-factor authentication and role-based access, etc., with a single sign-on were complicated and new enough so that a very large number of those employees or the end users would face multiple challenges using that system. And the organization will face a knowledge gap among its employees. The administrators, the sysadmins will get overwhelmed by the support calls, etc. So at that juncture, at our level, at the CXO, CIO, CTO level, we decided that despite the extra work, we would build out a complete end user journey and interweave it with a self-learning knowledge portal that the users can use while they're using the system. Now, despite the extra work, because this was not in the original scope of work, we did put a lot of effort in it, vernacularized the content, we showed small tutorials, we integrated some kind of a step-by-step knowledge check, etc. It was very well received. And you know what happened at the end of the project? We got even more kudos from the client and their end users, not for actually building the system accurately that constituted the core of the project, but for actually going that extra mile and giving that customer experience which made things, much easier for them to consume. So I'm happy to say that customer relationship is now a bedrock of that journey forward. So my point is that thankfully, at an organization of any size, it is possible to build delightful customer experience.
Such a poignant example. Thank you, Kaushik. Yes, and also for painting the contrast on size, quote unquote, doesn't matter. Customer experience really delivers in a very, very big way. So Rajiv, I want to get back to you on the fireside around, speaking of different stakeholders, could you share an example about, or what about the experiences for internal stakeholders?
Thanks, Prateek. And really, my colleague Kaushik really brought a very good example for internal customer, multi-factor authentication, how he did that. So for me, if you look at it, the customer, which is external customer, or the internal user experience are very different. The user experience is the facet of the holistic customer experience. And they focus not only on external customers, but how can they be a multiplier internally to drive it out? And what we had done, similar to what Kaushik really shared, and I think that we really picked up and divided the entire organization into multiple personas. We looked at in the day of life of every persona, could be a project manager, or a senior management, supply chain management, or a blue collar worker. How does in a day of a life of a particular persona would look like? And what kind of a task he does, from a collaboration to learning to his shop floor task, depending on a blue collar worker, to how does he handle on a safety and defects, other things, complete persona. So we look at the entire persona of everyone and really came out with some solutions which were relevant for that particular task to drive it out. And typically what I normally say here is, I really bring that to simplify the experience with a very simple maths formal equation. That time plus efforts is equal to emotion. This means that whatever we want to achieve to reduce the time and effort to increase the emotions, so-called emotions high, we need to radically think of a different approach so that our customer can benefit. And these all human beings are finding solutions which we already know, but how do we leverage technology with purpose is something what is great for us to drive it out.
Brilliant. Thank you. Moving this along rapidly with the approaching time limit. Kaushik, I wanted to ask you, given your experience as a magician at some point in time in your life, what would you advise the audience here? What should they watch out for when designing experiences?
Prateek, having been a performing magician for many years and also a techie, I deeply believe in shaping the value of shaping perceptions. There's a term which is a cardinal mantra of magicians called suspension of disbelief. And in order to achieve that suspension of disbelief, magicians employ various techniques borrowed from cognitive science, neuro-linguistic programming, behavioral psychology, theater, etc. I'll give you a very small 1-minute example. Suppose I ask you to write a person's name on a piece of paper. I look away and then I tear it without looking and reveal the name somehow. It will be surprising. But in the process, Prateek, if I linguistically frame everything as visualize in your mind the person that you've been thinking about walking in through the door, the person's name written in a big wall 20 feet away, etc., then if I de-emphasize that piece of paper and that you had written that name at any given point of time, then when you're actually recollecting that experience later on, you're going to say, hey, I was thinking of somebody and he read my mind. Elevating that same experience from the status of a mere puzzle to an absolute miracle. I think the similar things actually apply for shaping customer experiences also. One can use framing, confirmation, anchoring, etc., and that can aid in elevating good customer experience to an exceptional and memorable journey. So lastly, Prateek, great customer experience does not come from a department. It comes from a mindset of a company. And we all agree to that, I suppose. It's an ongoing process. So all systems are running, all targets are met, all customers are happy is usually accompanied by the phrase, all pigs are fed and are ready to fly. Right? It does not happen. Such miracles do not happen. We have to keep chipping at it and design these customer experiences at all levels of the company. There's no going out of that at all, in my opinion.
I love that visual. All pigs are fed and they're not flying. That is so true, right? Like it's not like it's done and it's over with, right? This is a continuous journey and a continuous process. And I'll have to really dig into all the things you've said and start practicing some of them. Rajiv, I want to get to you to see if you could share with us your advice to fellow CIOs on how to drive the CX dragon agenda, how to tame the CX dragon.
So I know Kaushik really made a very good magic rod for all of us. I don't have a magic rod for all of you. I can only share that there's no standard magic what we have right now. And I don't want to read these 6 steps or 7 steps. I just want to share with all of you that there are some couple of steps which every CIO is anyway doing it, what he or she can drive to drive the digital dexterity. And what we have seen that the successful digital transformation increases 3.3 times. Instead of leaders who only follow standard things are getting 16% of high digital dexterity. That's a Gartner thing, what we drive it out. But coming to what Kaushik shared, and I want to share with what Simon Sinek said, or the model of golden model, that I want to say that we need to start with why. The CIO can influence the way how customer perceive a service or a brand. Then how he can do that? To drive digital dexterity, by shaping a courageous and a creative digital mindset in the ecosystems. And what can drive it out? It can drive the customer sensitivity as well as ownership culture in the ecosystems. That's what, Prateek, I would say that there's no standard formula. I have it, but sort of sharing an experience, what we all CIO community can drive to enhance the digital dexterity in the organizations.
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you. And this is one of my favorite circles. I love how Simon Sinek says, people don't buy what you do. People buy why you do it. And it's definitely an underlying theme around delivering an exceptional customer experience. So thank you very much for sharing your perspectives, Rajiv and Kaushik. And everyone who's watching, do feel free to reach out to any of us with any questions you may have. For now, it's a wrap. And back to you, Ivan.
Thanks, Prateek.
Thank you, Rajiv. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Prateek.
Thank you.
What a wonderful 20 minutes we had in terms of how CIOs are shaping customer experience. It was really engaging, exciting, and it brought a smile to my countenance, and I'm sure our audience loved it as well. Rajiv, Arora, Kaushik, Bhaduri, thank you so much for taking time off from your busy schedule and joining us at this summit. And Prateek, as always, thank you for doing a fantastic job of moderating this Fireside Chat.
Thank you very much, Ivan. Thank you.
Yes, everybody. That was great. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
You stay tuned in, ladies and gentlemen. We will be back on the other side in a couple of minutes from now with the next session.